you wonderful people, you. Nice to be here. Great to be seen. I think it's like 16 degrees in the city of Toronto, which is where we are all, by and large, including Karima Assad, who joins us today. Not only Karima, who's in Toronto, we got Ryan, who's in Binbrook, which is around the Hamilton region. It's the crotch of Ontario, if you will.
Yeah. Is that what they
and
call it?
Lachlan is in Toronto as well because he was forced to come here for a bunch of stuff for his daughter, which he's soldiered through.
Forced is a strong word.
Forced.
I love my kids.
Yeah, I know, but you were forced
I love
to do...
spending money to vacation for my children.
Yeah,
it's our sole purpose in life.
Yes, it is.
Well, and then I watch her go to fucking Mexico and Kelowna wine testing, and all my vacations revolve around what my fucking kids are doing.
Yeah.
Love it.
And he's
Great
not,
idea.
Not unhappy at all, it sounds like. Anyway, you're in the city of Toronto. Real quick before we get... And Karima Assad is back, ladies and gentlemen. At CarymaRules is where you'll find her on Twitter. We tried to not have her on the show today, but she keeps fucking making news, so we have to keep bringing her back. And it's funny because I called her today. I was like, hey, listen. And I believe I even said that to you, did I not? I'm like, trying to not put you on every show.
I like being here. No, this is nice.
I like being here.
Well, you have to be here because you made
fans.
news again. It's stuff to get to, and we'll get to what that news is in just a second. But we're going to listen to a black hole later on today. That'll be a lot of fun. We're also going to talk about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. James is going to be by to update us on that. We're going to talk about James's interview with Chelsea Hilliar, which I don't know if you've seen, Karima. Might have been the greatest shit show on earth. It was fucking unbelievable. So we're going to get to that later on in the show. But right now, we're going to start with you, as we do every time you're on, because Lachlan was like, we got on the show, and he's like, what the fuck happened to you yesterday? So, like, because it's like you broke the internet again, and we did a Twitter Spaces about it. If you go to @It'sDeanBlundell or Karima's feed, you can go and check it out at CarymaRules. But yesterday,
Twitter Spaces.
I don't know. We just tried it last night. Yeah, I got shit already. Lynn's was like, you fucked the whole thing up, dude. And I'm like, I don't know. You got to do what help me for. I don't know how it works. I'm a Twitter genius.
I still can't get fucking PayPal working, so.
Well, don't worry about it.
Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, tech geniuses over here. But yesterday you went to cover Doug Ford's kickoff event, right? I believe this was the first rally of his re-election event. Doug Ford is the premier of the province of Ontario. He's the head of the Conservative Party.
Getting her done. Is that what it is?
That's what he calls it. Let's get her done. Yeah,
get her done.
Yeah, he's bushwhacked his way to what is apparently going to be another majority. Even though he has made us sicker, stolen money from us, and acted like a complete piece of shit over the past 4 years. But
the
you
Liberals
went to cover
crooked as hell, though. I'm sorry.
Oh, who cares? They're all fucking
I might
crooked.
be falling for some of his sideways campaigning, but
yeah. Well, it's the same. I don't. And listen, this isn't even necessarily about a politics conversation, right, Karima? Like yesterday, you went to go and cover his rally in Etobicoke, and were told that you were flagged as an anti-operative, and we're not allowed to enter the event.
They still have a Robin's Donuts up there.
Robin's, I think they do. Yeah, as a matter of fact.
That's correct.
So take me through it. Well, we've got the video. Why don't we actually play the video first? That's probably the right thing to do, right, boys?
That's a great idea.
I think so.
That's a good way to get into this there.
Good job.
I appreciate it. This is the video of you going to the Congress Center. Is that correct? In Etobicoke?
Yeah, Dixon Road.
Dixon Road or Thixon Road?
So
Dixon
anybody
Road.
would be
Dixon.
allowed to go to this, right? I could show up.
He literally had a tweet that said everyone is welcome.
Okay, all right. So I missed it. Unfortunately, would have wanted to see this.
Well,
I should have brought you with me. Maybe
you probably would have gotten in
us.
because they'd be like, "Oh, she's with a white person. She's probably going to be well behaved." That's what they think at those rallies, by the way. Like, don't let anybody, don't let a person of color in at all. But if they're with a honky,
Hoops restaurant ball cap.
Actually,
roll
the
out the
first
red
people to
carpet.
get in were a group of Sikh people, and there were various Asians, East Asians. So it wasn't that it was an all-white rally. It's that they specifically don't like me.
yeah, I have a feeling that the people who weren't right were bussed in and paid to be there. So that's just me.
There were
I could be
buses.
wrong.
There were
Yeah.
buses.
Well, there you go. They probably bust the people of color in from another place and probably paid them to be there. Anyway, this is the video.
Does
This
that
is
really
what's-
happen? Honestly.
Oh, yeah.
all the time. all the fucking time. Yeah,
yeah.
it happened in
So
Trump.
how do you broach that topic?
We
Hey,
just did.
John, do you know any Sikhs? Like, I mean, how is that a thing? Or is there like a, I don't know, is there like a web page? Rent a Sikh? Like, how do you get people that, I'm
Person of
sorry.
color for hire? Yeah. A person of color for hire.com. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Is there a web
$1
page?
idea.
It's not a terrible idea, to be honest with you. Yeah, we might be able to make some money
Because you
I know
do
a
see
lot
that.
of different
You
people.
see, whenever you see any of these politicians do a press conference, they have
Yeah.
strategically placed,
People
like they'll
of
have
color.
a native dude, and they'll have like a black guy, and then they'll have an Asian guy, and then there'll be like a white woman.
Conservatives are
right?
great
Like
at that.
it almost looks like they sat there and went, we
Well,
need
dude,
full
don't you remember?
representation.
Don't you remember
Everyone
those
was
Trump
front row.
rallies? How all those
Yeah.
white people were wearing those blacks for Trump's shirts? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? And do you remember the Kijiji ads for Trump too? He's like, if you're a person of color and you want to make $80 today, come on down to the Hilton, and boy, have we got a deal for you.
Hold the sign. Yeah, they made them hold
yeah,
signs and stuff. Yeah, no, that was that was fully out. They were transparent about that even.
Yeah,
like
they weren't even hiding
They
it.
didn't even care.
Why do we hate
Yeah,
Trump
we do
now
that.
again?
I don't know. Stuff like that mostly. Anyway, this is Karima's trying to get into Doug Ford's very conservative alt-white event. Watch this.
Like me specifically, or
Can we help you guys?
yeah, we're trying to get into the event.
Sorry, you guys aren't allowed to.
Like me specifically, or
Both of you,
can I ask why?
because you're not invited to this event. If we know who you are, we're not allowed to do it. So, if you guys want to keep pushing it, we have property, permission from the property owner to remove you from the premises under the Trespassing Property Act. So, causing issues, we're going to
I
have
don't
to ask
think
you.
we're causing any issues. I'm a voter.
That's fine. You've been flagged, so we're not allowed to. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So I guess that's that. I'm not going to be able to live tweet the event because Doug Ford supports censorship, suppression of opinions.
Vincent Lee from Dumbbell East. He wants them all to stick
See if the fringe
So they're not ready yet.
is around the premises because we're not getting in there.
Maybe they didn't want your scooter in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe
they're
they're
dangerous. Those fucking
anti-scooter.
things.
The background conversation was pretty interesting. I didn't catch that last night.
What's that? What? I didn't hear what the background conversation
I was just, the exactly what we were just speaking about before. We watched the video about placing people in certain spots and the choreography that goes in. It was almost like a river dance trying to.
Maybe you were trying to get through the old white dude's door.
Yeah.
That was my
Maybe
first
you went to
thought.
the
I'm like,
wrong
"Man,
door."
the wrong one."
Yeah, in the outdoor. Okay, so what we heard and what we saw there was exactly what you represented last night on Spaces. It was exactly what we've talked about. It is you not being allowed in because you were flagged by the premier of this province as being an agitator, and he doesn't want you at his event. Now, first of all, take us through it, because to me that was just legitimately a scared, dumb white honky and his scared, dumb white honky evangelical pals going, you cannot let this woman of color in because she does mean cartoons about us.
She's a shit disturber. Come on.
No,
if we're being honest,
she's not
let's
a
be
shit
fucking
disturber.
very transparent here, Karima.
No.
You're a shit disturber. I was concerned about you coming out the other night to our gathering.
I was.
I never know
glad
what
we
you're
had a
going to
lawyer
do.
with us. I was
never
concerned about
fucking
you.
know what you're going to
Hate fights.
I was concerned about you, Lachlan. I'm glad we had a lawyer with us.
Okay, so you're not disturbing. Yeah, no kidding.
I'm
You
just
almost got us
there.
all-
I am present,
no.
and things happen around me, and I really, truly have no control over how other people choose to behave around me. So I truly, I don't agitate. I just exist, which maybe itself
I got
is
I
an
got into
agitation.
this argument last night in your defense on Twitter with several people that were saying, well, she's a troublemaker. This is what she does. It's like, no, it's not what she does. If you'll notice, she's there. She's putting a mirror up in front of you, and you're getting mad at yourself. That's all you're doing. She's there. She's like a set of eyes for all of us to watch. She doesn't commentate.
Can I present an analogy about this?
Yeah, then we'll get to Karima's account of what happened.
So I have a wife who is very well spoken, very well educated, is not an extrovert at all, and in social situations, I would be the one that would take the lead, but I've never seen anything like it. And my wife has this at work, at parties, family shit. People just, for some reason, they see her and they gravitate towards her and they just spill their guts. They want to tell her their life story, all their problems. It's bizarre. My wife just brings that on. Karima, you have a very similar side to you, your personality, whatever it is about how you present yourself to the world. I think you bring that shit out of people. Is that not a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think I am a shit extricator.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
that's
a good term.
More accurate than a shit disturber.
Yeah. You're more like X-Lax. You bring the shit out. That's what you do.
Yeah, you prime it. It's almost like your very presence primes the extraction of said shit, right? But it's only because the way that you've done this for the past 2 years has been very non-offensive, right? You've gone in, you've recorded events, and then you have opinions of said events. But I don't think that's why you weren't let in there, right? I really don't. I think the reason why they didn't let you into the Congress Center and why that gigantic Stephen Lecce lookalike fuck went out and said, "You've been flagged." So Colin DeMello walks in, strides in, all the CPC friends and media partners stride in, even though that, they do what you do, but you do what you do and you tell the truth about what you do. And then you do cartoons about what you do, like this one where you've got Ivana Yelich, his comms director, and Brian Lilly from The Sun in the background, cheering on Doug Ford with his little baby shovel after the whole fucking snow fiasco. And then you do stuff like this, where you've got Ford as a giant, fat, gargantuan, giant fee-fi faux fum. Everything's on the table. You just get crumbs. This is your work. And then there's this big, fat Doug Ford in a Speedo going down a lazy river or lounging at the cottage saying, "Stay cool, folks," while senior citizens boil to death in their long-term care homes. Or then you've got this one where you've got, Brian Lilly and Gitch and a fucking ball gag and a cat nine tails and a collar suggesting he likes rough play with Ivana Yelich while she's on the Zoom call with her boss, Doug Ford. Like, don't you think you've cartooned yourself onto the blacklist? Doesn't it feel like that? Like, because there's no metric that says you're going to be a danger to anybody in that group, according to the enormous body of work you've done as a journalist over the past year. Do you think you've cartooned yourself onto the blacklist? There's the question.
It is very possible. Yes.
All those cartoons have a toe in the truth, right? Like
100%. It's
of course.
It's based on sort of headlines. It's based on my interpretation of what's going on, my imagination about kind of how things might play out. So not every single comic is literal, and like hyperbole is part of editorial comics, right? But there is always a grain of truth to it, I think. And I think that's why they resonate with the people who enjoy them. It's not for everyone, but it doesn't have to be for everyone.
See, here's my satire. Here's my concern about people's inability to think about the unintended consequence of stuff like this. Okay, so Karima has a pretty decent, strong following online. I mean, she put a picture of herself catching a baseball at the Yankees game on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And tagged us. And then every time I checked my Twitter feed, I had 800 messages. And it's all about this fucking stupid baseball. I'm like, whatever. Like, she caught a fucking baseball. Relax, everybody. And you occasionally show up. You have your own podcast, right? You occasionally show up on this podcast. And the last time I checked, our numbers are significant to the point where government officials are trying to get on here because they realize the power of the audience that Dean has created over the last couple of years with this podcast and these podcast networks. Doesn't somebody at the inside an event, organizers, when somebody says we're banning that biatch Karima from coming in here, doesn't somebody have the sensibility to raise a hand and go, wouldn't that do more damage? Like, I don't understand how fucking stupid these people can be sometimes. Because now we've made this huge thing out of you just not getting let in to hear the fat man tell a bunch of lies. I mean, if you had gone in there and actually sent out a couple of tweets, they probably would have done what they would normally do when you follow this kind of stuff. Instead, now we're going to probably be talking about this shit for like 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're morons.
Yes. In fact, in every aspect, from governance to running a campaign event, they are morons. So I don't know what the intended effect of.
Plus, isn't it illegal? Like, you're a private
technically the event was on private property, right? So I didn't push back once he dropped the Trespass to Property Act. Could I have maybe a little bit more? Possibly. Do I want the hassle of explaining myself to police? No. So it's a private event on private property.
Wasn't there an open invite on Twitter? Does that not abolish the private party?
Dude, that was a lie. That was a lie. Like he says, listen, come on down. I mean, he doesn't mean come on down. He just means, hey, I'm holding an event and we're going to make this look like people actually give a shit about everything I say. He had people bust in to fill out the room that were ardent supporters of him or actors. So that was not a rally. That was a fucking piece. That was a grift. That was a fucking scam. It was a prank. Whole idea, it was a huge dog and pony show.
Like, you could have an open invite to, an event, let's say in a mall. But if the mall trespasses you, they're entitled to do that, right? I think what makes this troubling is the fact that this is the current sitting premier who is running for the same office and seemingly opposed to critique. Because I think that's the extent of what I do. There's critique built into the coverage. But certainly I'm never deliberately disruptive in any way. There's no threat. There's no credible threat of violence. Nothing along the lines of I think, justifying a trespass. So this was, I think, an act of ego.
Yeah. And if I can too, there's a part 2 to that video piece, Locke, and I'll play it for you. So my phone rang at right after this happened. I didn't even see it. I didn't know what was happening, and I see that you call, so I call you back. And this video that I'm going to play, Karima, that was you on the phone with me while another group of security guys, like, this isn't done. Another group of security guys came around and threatened her on top of being threatened prior to that. Watch this. It's fucked.
We are trying to leave.
Kindly. Just leave the property.
We are leaving the property. Literally, I'm going away from the building.
I appreciate it. I'll help you guys if you guys need help.
Don't need your help. Thank you.
Perfect. I'll be watching.
That's more security.
That was she's talking to me.
And I had to stop my scooter. So I was actually scootering. I was talking to you, Dean. And then this pickup truck pulls up behind me and starts yelling out from the window. So I stopped scootering. So they actually delayed me leaving. And then I walked the rest of the way.
Does your cameraman have a scooter too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Everyone's got a scooter. Everyone in the Karima camp is on a scooter. So these guys, after you had agreed that first of all, you find out you're flagged. You can't go into an open political event because the premier of the province is fucking afraid of you, and his comms director is afraid of you. So they blacklisted you. And I found out, I did a little work. you were blacklisted by Ivana Yelich, and I don't know if that had anything to do with Doug Ford, but I can tell you Doug Ford absolutely knows about you, and he does not like the things that you write about him. I've had several conversations over the past 24 hours since this whole thing has happened. This is the stuff that you bring to my doorstep. It's like when you have a cat and it comes in with like a dead animal. It's like, here, there you go. What do you think of this?
But
This is
what
free.
about
What do you think of this
all
action?
the nice things you've written about the current sitting
No.
government?
Well, they're not many.
Karima, are they remembering those things?
My
Honestly, I think there's times where I hold back and I am letting go of that sentiment now.
But
There are
listen, do
comics that
you
were
know how
unreleased because I chose the
Not the
path
same.
of less violence.
Yeah. And she has every time that she's reported on him, even with her cartoons. Cartoons are cartoons, for fuck's sakes. They're just like, hey, this is
Well,
how I'm feeling. This is how I'm thinking. Was
those
there
are
a ball
pretty
gag
tough.
and an S&M reference in a couple of them? Sure, but fuck, it's a
They're
cartoon.
pretty
It's
tough cartoons.
not real life.
Karima
But-
insulted her boyfriend, and she took her off the list. That's exactly what happened.
But getting back to what
Do
that
we know
was,
they're into S&M?
yeah, I don't know. I'm going with it because it was in Karima's cartoon, and I support everything she does, no matter what. I don't even care.
Have you read his articles?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, because I know her intentions. So, but when it comes down to it, I mean, those guys coming after you again, that was a threat. They are threatening you at that point. Like, to can I help you move faster after they stopped you, to impress upon you that you should be afraid of them. That's the vibe I got out of that. I don't know if you were too pissed to get the same vibe, but how did you feel?
I think the signal to me was we don't want you guys to get hurt. By what? Hurt by what?
That's a threat. That's a veiled
That's a
threat.
How did you interpret that?
That's a threat.
I think at the time I was too pissed to interpret it. But now I don't really see what would have been threatening to me. I had perfectly pleasant interactions with some of the other attendees leading up to this. So there were no kind of fights, no altercations, nothing at all like that. And, you know, there were cars coming in, but those cars, like there was a barricade separating where I was in the parking lot and those vehicles. So I wasn't at risk of being run over by anyone. So I don't know what danger I was facing, and I would like to know, I suppose, so I can be more prepared next time.
Mm-hmm. I would ask the OPP, because my assumption is the man in the suit in the Congress Center security vehicle was probably part of Doug Ford's security detail, which is made up and comprised of OPP.
Yeah.
And he didn't identify himself and let that happen. It's concerning if that's the case. I'm pretty sure that's who that was, but
yeah.
See, what ends up happening in the world that we live in, the journalism world, is that we're looking for clout, right? And we've had this conversation before. So governments quite often will provide access, and that's like clout. In the sporting world, you know what, the broadcasters, that the sports donkeys at the sports station get a ticket that gets them into all the games all year long. With that comes a certain amount of responsibility to suck their dicks and fondle their balls. It's just the way it is, right? And the other thing that comes with this is money, because these governments have access to the purse strings of the province, and they feed money into these outlets. And they have zero clout, zero control over Karima. So they just tell her not to be in there and that she's trespassing.
You are 100% correct. And that is a fucking major
Sadness.
goal here, is they have nothing on you, Karima. It's the same reason why I drive them crazy, is because they can't do anything. They can't do anything to you other than prevent you from doing your job. And in preventing you from doing your job, they think that they got one on you, as Lachlan is pointing out, because you don't huff. You don't cradle the nuts of the man. You are an absolutely independent free thinker who has the ability to do content that helps curate a desired result for the greater good. So
Shit disturber.
So they look at you like you're a shit disturber. Now, you and I have had the benefit of offline conversations, right, including the one we had today, where I told you about the people that they have tried to get in contact with to get to me, and the veiled threats that they make to me about us and this coverage of the truth of this man who has the values of a legitimate fucking serial killer and operates from that perspective. And his entire group of fucking overtly religious maniacs who only share the desire to see a theocratic conservative province continue to serve the relationships and the needs therein involved. Construction friends, media friends. And I can truthfully tell you that this dovetails into a major problem that we have with mainstream media, as Lachlan has said. This man, Doug Ford, has done a miraculous job of developing relationships with executives at Bell and Rogers, and developing relationships with big swinging dicks at different publishers and media empires, to be able to say, listen, do me a favor, right? Write something nice about me. Maybe don't write that. Maybe get rid of those articles that you wrote about me 5 years ago. Maybe get rid of the like murder for hire stuff. Maybe get rid of all the other shit, like my drug dealing and all the other dumb fuckery that I committed over the past 30 years of my life that talks about how absolutely degenerate my family is. Because that's the goal here, specifically in the next 26 to 27 days, because there's an election coming up on June 2nd. And they are trying to legitimately tighten the PR screws to the point where people like you and people like us can't hurt him. And so the effort now on their behalf is going to be discrediting. That was a conversation I had today. That is going to happen with you. That is going to happen with me. That is going to happen with anybody in our universe. And the problem that they have is we're not attached to anybody that can call us and say, hey, listen, if you don't stop doing this kind of content around Doug Ford and around the Conservative Party or the individuals and their values, we're not going to pay you your salary or we will fire you. They can't do that to you, and they can't do that to me, and they can't do that to anybody here. So that's the problem that they have. We might have a problem with it in terms of like how they're going to come after us, because it will happen, and it is going to happen in the next month. And I know that because someone told that to me today, who I absolutely trust and is involved in this process, is that we are going to be targets of that movement like we already are. So it's not that big of a deal. But this is going to prove out a couple of things and I promise you over the next 26 days, and I promise everybody that I'm going to lay this shit out. And I'm not only going to lay out the collusion and the corruption with Doug Ford in as far as his party and what is going on in this province, but we're going to talk about the values of the human and the individual. And then we're going to talk about the people that he shares those values with, whether they be religious values, theocratic values, business values that are preventative from telling the truth, meaning media people, media relationships. We're going to flay the whole thing, and we're going to let you guys eat it, because that's what we're here for. Nobody else is. And you're not seeing this. Like, there isn't one reputable news outlet that started talking about a woman of color in journalism being forced to leave because she was fucking, like, suck this today, flagged. She was flagged from actually going to an open Democratic political event and rally because the person that was holding the rally and their camp does not like this person because they are legitimately afraid of them. Lachlan, go ahead.
For the sake of balance, I feel like I should say this out loud.
Please.
Would it not make sense for us to do a little ball fondling? Like, is this worth it?
Are you putting your hand
the
up?
balls have
or-
left the building. I don't know.
You're in town for a couple of days. Like, you could do some fancy footwork out on the road for us.
Is he going to trust
need-
balls at this
Do
point?
we need this stress in our lives? Let's
I
all
do.
be honest.
What stress do we have? Like Dean just
Karima,
said,
are you stressed?
We have no connection to it.
You stressed? I'm not. I'm energized by it.
I don't quite have that attitude. So, you know, there's maybe apprehension, and I'm not a perfect person. So let's see what's cooked up. But I think that
I hear you smoke weed.
there's value in this, in there's value in truth. And I don't know, it's like that is the most basic principle. And yet we are in a crisis of truth and understanding knowledge and how we get to certain conclusions. And everything has changed, the way that people consume news and media, and the way that they formulate thoughts. And sort of this is happening alongside polarization due to echo chambers. So there's, you know, a lot going on, and truth is more important than ever. And yet it's farther out of reach than I've ever in my adult life seen or experienced it. So fuck it. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's
the thing with
point
where
of
we're at, though, Karima,
You're
and you
awesome.
bring up an interesting point, is how we consume news, who we trust now. All of that has changed for a variety of reasons. Social media has had a massive impact on how we consume news and the sources that we go to. But the thing that hasn't changed is how these organizations that are now having to deal with the change continue to operate
In the
And-
best interest of their relationships, dude. That's
Yeah,
what we're
and
seeing now.
They have
They're going to serve
that's
the status
always
quo for as long as they
been
can.
the case.
Like, it
Always.
serves them.
Now we're just shining different lights on it, right?
Well, here's the thing: is that like 10 years ago when they would say stuff like to me, because it's happened to me, where I have actually done content on behalf of my bosses because they have relationships to protect. When I was at the Edge, same thing at the Fan. It was even worse at the Fan because it was Rogers. It was like, you have to not do this content because it might upset these people that we work with. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is of common interest. And they're like, no, it isn't. And I'm like, well, Jerry Howarth talked about it last night, and they're like, you're not Jerry Howarth. I'm like, oh, I get it. I know how this whole thing works. And it was the same at the Edge. It was a little lighter because I think people were more afraid of me there than they were when I went and spent 2 years in legitimate radio fucking jail when I worked at the Fan. But I will tell you this.
You could have been in fucking Yellowknife.
It is,
complaining.
to your point, ball fondling pays pretty well. And
The
it's
beaver.
job security for a lot of people, right? And when you fondle the nuts of the man, they tend to look at you like, oh, okay, well, he's an operative, he's someone that we can count on. Let's get him stuff. It's never about relationships in this industry. This is about what you can do for a party or a power center, and all we are assets. So when we're not assets to that power center, we can kind of fucking do whatever we want, which I do plan on doing for the next 26 days. And I sure hope you plan on going back. Like, are you banned from every Ford rally, or were you just flagged
No,
from
they
that
didn't
one?
say that. They didn't say that. And in fact, I wasn't given any notice until the verbal notice that you see in that video. So I plan on continuing to cover
attend
provincial
everyone.
election.
I got
Dude,
an
I
idea.
would be going to every single fucking one. Get them
I think you
sponsored. Get you in like the bubble bus. Get them to sponsor it. Have you show up
Maybe
with bubbles.
maybe
high
Peter's
as fuck.
Burgers.
I don't know about
Maybe
that as
some
an
money.
ally.
Peter Burgers, yeah, with
Peter
a Peter
Burgers?
Burger shirt on.
Hold fast. Hold fast, Karima.
You know, though, like, we're joking about it, but what if that energy was harnessed and redirected elsewhere, right? Because they have a lot of energy. And there was actually a small gathering of so-called freedom fighters outside the venue, probably about a dozen or so. But there is real rage to tap into. I think the difficulty is sort of whenever you're trying to vote someone out, it's less effective than bringing good people in. And I think there's a disconnect between people and their local candidates, between people and the provincial party leaders. And so we're in this quagmire, right, of just everyone feels stuck and is internalizing, I think, a sense of helplessness, but that's not productive. And the next 4 years are going to be critical. Every election is critical, but each election feels simultaneously more and less important than the last. More important because the stakes are higher, but less important because there's just this constant erosion of democracy and rule of law.
Karima,
And all these key
Let me
principles.
ask you a question. Who's in the wings?
Nobody. Nobody. That's the point. That's what we're saying, and that's why this is so critical right now. Is that there's nobody waiting, but at the same time, we have the ability to make a better decision than this fucktard that's in the office. Pardon my language. We're smarter. We are faster. We are better than this. We understand values to be what they are, but we need to get out of that old way of thinking that we're blue, we're red, we're orange. Right? These are real fucking decisions. Like he has absolutely fucked over autistic kids in this country. That wait list went from 12,000 to 70,000 in 4 years. He is taking $1 billion away from mental health initiatives in the next budget. He is absolutely kettling immigrants in this country. He is closing rank on seniors. Told them they could go fuck their hats the other day too. He is a terrible fucking human being, and none of this stuff gets reported on. You've got people like Karima doing the work, Dr. Vivian Stamatopoulos doing the work. You've got Dr. David Fistman, who's going to be joining us on this very program, alerting people to the fact that Doug Ford didn't give two shits about you, and he was on the science table and he saw it with his own fucking eyes. We've got guys like David Moskrop writing who will be on the show with us tomorrow, writing op-ed pieces about the fact that he not only can't believe this guy is ahead in the polls, he can't believe he's not in fucking jail for very legitimate, collusive reasons. Like, it is all there, man. And then Karima goes to shine a light on all of it, all the hypocrisy. And what do they tell her? You're flagged. You can't come in because we don't want reality becoming part of the conversation. The reality is he is a terrible individual with terrible fucking values who doesn't give two shits about this province. The only thing he cares about is protecting his crazy as fuck religious family and getting what he wants from his construction friends and relationships. So, Karima, having said that, I'm going to let you go because I know we've kept you for like 3 straight days. But we're going to be doing this again on Monday, and we're going to be doing it on Tuesday. And I might even wheel you in with Moskrop and Fistman tomorrow to kind of talk about this and more, because this is about policies. This isn't about the show. Like, yeah, are we bleeding this because it's fucking needs to be seen? Yeah, for sure. But it needs to be seen because no one else is seeing it. No one else is fucking carrying the mail and telling people about the values of these people who are legitimately stealing your rights and privileges on a daily basis. Like, Karima has a right and a privilege as a Canadian citizen, as a fucking lawyer and an activist and a media person to cover that event. But due to the fact that she is honest about his dealings, he then told her she's flagged. So anybody that tells the truth about this guy is flagged. And I happen to have the list that he created. And not only are you on it, we're on it. And everybody that actually eschews common sense is on it in this province. Everybody. CBC's on it. TVO is on it. Like the regular people. You know who isn't on it? Anybody from Bell, anybody from Rogers, because they are in his fucking pocket. And I'm going to lay that out for you this month. Karima, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I have a tip before she
Thanks,
goes though.
guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Just blue glasses, maybe, when you go.
What about
They
the
all know.
glasses with the mustache and the?
I was
you know?
thinking that. Yeah, I was thinking I need a felt mustache.
Yeah.
And let's,
That's a
Or I
good wig
suppose I
right
hear-
there.
Yeah. All right.
No, I am
Well, we'll
not
see you at the next
Karima.
one. I guess that'll be it. We'll see exactly what
A
happens.
blonde
Thanks for doing
wig.
this.
Karima.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk to you
no
soon.
to the ball fondling.
No,
for
no to the
the
ball fondling.
Blundell podcast. Okay,
No, we're not
good.
fondling.
Why
Just
would
want to be
he
on
trust you with his
the
balls at this point? That makes no sense.
What balls?
Great point. Thanks, Karima. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Appreciate
Bye,
you.
Karima.
There's Karima Assad, who is just a hero. Just a
She's
little
awesome.
hero
And-
is what she is.
She is. She's so, like I say, and even in that moment, I'd have lost my shit. I know you would have probably lost your shit with a big laugh. You know what I mean? Like, we would have laughed in the face of that guy. Like, what the fuck do you think
I
you
would have
are?
raged.
She kept her cool. Okay, thank you very much. She
I
took
would have
the high
destroyed my
road,
life.
and that high road, and that high road brought her out. So
You don't say.
I would have.
Little
James
vindicator.
DeFiore joins us from Blackball the podcast. I would have
Hey.
destroyed my life. I would have just blown it all up right there. I'm like, I would have grabbed the guy. I would have put him in a fucking headlock, and I would have got my ass kicked after that, and I'd be in
Yeah.
jail because I can't control myself around that kind of stuff. That's why I hide. That's why it's for everyone else. It's not for me. It's seriously.
Well, we need
Lachlan,
to drag you.
you
out
would
to
just
more
fondle his
events like
balls.
that.
You would just fondle the security man's balls.
There's something to be said about the ball fondling, though, because that was one of the things that a mutual friend of ours said to me on the phone this morning. He's like, dude, you're going to get a lot further ahead if you're a little more friendly to some of these power centers that you shit on all the time.
I
And I'm
brought
like,
it up. I mentioned
do
it. You shot down. There's no
Gee,
bad
the guy that
ideas when
works
we're
in
brainstorming.
MSM. Wants you to fondle balls.
Yeah. James is here, everybody, for Blackball the podcast. We got about 18 minutes left with Locke before he's got to split because he's got a hard out at 4 o'clock. But I want to get to a couple of things. I want to get to Amber Heard, and I also want to get to your interview with Chelsea Hilliar, Randy's daughter. Oh, that was fucked. That was
Speaking
fucking
of shitting the bed.
I haven't seen it. Do we have any?
You
clips
haven't
from
seen it?
No,
no, we couldn't
sorry,
grab
James.
clips this morning. It was all fucked up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We
I'll
don't
go
have
watch
clips,
it.
but we've got some actual tweets from the actual event itself, which I thought was really funny. Like I didn't. She's an idiot, and when you.
So again, no
I'll
ball
fondle.
fondling.
I'm
today.
with you, Lachlan, because
Okay,
I have
all
to
right.
keep there is a pipeline that I have to
Yeah.
a certain side of the political spectrum that I need to keep alive, right? Like,
Well, you interviewed her. This is from the interview. Chelsea Hilliar. Don't know what the fuck that means. It was like an hour long.
Maybe she's a Slayer fan. It's
she
Raining
made some-
Blood. Is her
She
favorite
made
record.
some controversial.
it's
statements.
sarcastic because she says that liberals call her a murderer, so she's
Yeah,
using
so
it
she's
as
a slayer.
sarcasm.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
This is Randy's daughter saying, I made controversial statements tonight, including contracting an upper respiratory virus is not a moral issue, and Ukraine fighting as a proxy war of the U.S. These statements were difficult for some to swallow. In fact, they're still choking them down. Does she style herself as like a troll, or is she just that dumb all the time?
I have to I have to stop myself from making swallowing jokes. No, I don't know. I mean, she believes in what she believes in. In the piece I called her a person that scratches the surface and goes all in about things that she doesn't really know that much about, such as she thought that it was impossible to be a carrier of the COVID virus and not have any symptoms.
Wrong.
Like impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept on talking about it after the interview. And sometimes maybe it's because I don't know what the reason is, but sometimes I'm like, am I wrong about that? So I contacted Dr. Mario, and I was like, listen, am I out to lunch? He's like, no, it's not controversial that some people carry the virus but don't show any symptoms, asymptomatic.
Settled science.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, and she, listen, like everyone tells
Why
me
is
after
that
interviews
the
like
sticking point for her? Like, what?
that was
She's
just
an
one
idiot.
of many. That was one
like-
of many. Because the reason why she mentioned is because I said to her, does it give you pause? And I ask everyone this. I asked Bernier this. I think I asked Hilliar this when we all interviewed him. Does it give you pause to think to yourself when you go to a rally of unvaccinated people that maybe the virus is passed along in the crowd a little bit, and then that person goes home, doesn't know he has the virus, and kills someone accidentally by spreading it to him? And she was like, well, why would they have the virus if they don't have the symptoms? And I'm like, well, okay. I don't know how to respond to that. It was weird because then I was like, there's people that have the AIDS virus that carry HIV but don't exhibit any of the symptoms. She's like, HIV and COVID are different. I'm like, clearly, I'm not saying they're the same. Like, but they're both viruses. There's a ton of viruses that are like that.
Well,
why
dude,
is this controversial? It
wasn't even like it was legitimately, if you go and watch it, go and download, subscribe to his podcast. It's called Blackball the Podcast. Get it wherever you get your fine podcast. It's an hour long, like an hour and 6 hour and 7 minutes. And she literally just repeats everything she's heard her dad say 12 beer in at the dinner table for like an hour. That's
only seen him drunk twice.
Dude, that's a lie too. She lied for a fucking hour. And not only did she lie for a fucking hour,
I've been drunk
she
twice
just
this week.
You've been drunk twice.
Today.
She
Don't all rush to that, guys. That
She
punchline.
invented shit.
It's the
while
low
we
hanging
do.
ball. We had
Yeah,
to
we
fondle.
saw it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we
just
had to fondle
stroking
them.
and fondling them. Your drunk balls. That's what we're doing now. But
Because they're very low.
I watched it, and you brought her in, and you pulled her back. You were kind of masterful about it, but yeah, there was no challenge. Like when you talk to someone who's that stupid, it's impossible to challenge them. It's almost like you just give them rope and say, "Here, go find a tree. Let's do this together. I'll just ask you one question, and I'll allow you to repeat everything your dad has said at the dinner table prior to him passing out drunk." Like, that is all I heard. There was no substance. She guessed about vaccines. And then what really upset me, like, I knew she was an idiot, so I just expected the science idiot to come out, and it did. But what really fucking made me not just sad, but it was almost like angry, was when she took Russia's side when you asked her about her opinion when it comes to the war in Ukraine. She not only took Russia's side, she did it without any information, any receipts. She just kind of said, well, this is what's happening, and everybody knows that Russia is trying to go and get Russians out of Ukraine. And the Ukrainian people just keep bombing the Donbass, and the U.S. is now bombing all these Russians, and it's not fair. She literally said that in your fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I don't know.
The dinner table when her dad's wasted on fucking bourbon, going, "This is fucking Jesus."
Seems more like a Coors Light guy to me.
Yeah.
Now, Chelsea, when you talk about Russia, you must mention the Nazis in the Ukraine.
Yes.
Like it's always
the Ukrainian Nazis. Well, because he's a Russian asset too. But what I also found very interesting is how she literally in this interview, Locke, you'd love it. She blamed me and us for the hatred her family's experiencing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess.
She goes like this. She goes, I don't like to attack the person holding the umbrella. I like to attack the umbrella. And by the way, Dean Blundell is evil personified.
She said that. Didn't her dad say that too at one point?
Yeah. I believe
He called me a fucking cocksucker.
Yeah, he was
Did he call me a cocksucker?
Yeah.
I sent you the phone call.
Yeah, you did. I thought you told me I wasn't allowed to talk about the phone call.
You're not allowed to play it, but you can talk about it as much as you want.
Yeah. Dude, he sent me like a phone call of him and Randy. He's like, I'm not talking on that cocksuckers network. That's what he said. And that's when I'm like, I'm all in now. That's when I called him a Russian asset and ruined his life, apparently. But
And
she's that dumb.
It's not rhetoric either. It's like what you're spewing is not rhetoric here, because literally in the comments of that podcast, she went in there obviously to defend her honor, I guess. And one of the quotes from her directly was, "My dad is always right."
Yes.
My
that was
dad
the title
is
of the piece.
She said that line.
Right. Yeah.
She said that.
So
Thing about my dad is that he's never wrong.
He's never wrong.
That's what she said.
That's bizarre.
And then after the interview, she was like, she pretended to be a victim because James called her love, and she fucking snapped in the middle of it, like, and then brought up how she was abused and PTSD, which she does all the time. Every time there's a problem, she plays the fucking victim card. Where I said, no, you need to play the victim misogyny card because you eat, sleep, breathe victim. Watch the interview again. You whine for an hour as you do. By the way, your take on Ukraine was pure idiocy, as you do. Listen to your grandma, who her grandma hates her, by the way. Chelsea, go get some fucking help. And then she's like, personification of evil on earth, homophobe. Like, I don't know if she even knows, but like when you call someone a homophobe, no one even cares anymore. Same with pedophile. It's just the same shit that comes out of her dumb mouth all the time.
Yeah.
And every time it comes out of her fucking dumb mouth, I laugh even fucking harder because she is not only discredited, she is an idiot, and she is the village idiot, and her entire family is full of them. Locke, go ahead.
There's this thing that we're dealing with right now in today's world, and we sort of touched on it with Karima. Right? There is this lack of trust of the traditional outlets, to the point where people are being forced to alternative forms, right? And maybe this is an alternative form of media, and people enjoy what they get from the Dean Blundell podcast weekdays at 1-ish Mountain Standard Time and 3-ish Eastern Standard Time. And we've developed this group of fairly like-minded individuals. But there's another side to that coin, that equation, where people go so far the other way that there has to be a completely alternative explanation for what's happening on the news. And that's the thing that I've been worried about. And I've waved that flag on this podcast multiple times. Like, the numbers are growing, guys. This is a concern. Why is this happening? You know, we shouldn't be making fun of this. We should be digging deeper into why these people can watch the news that you and I watch, where a city in Ukraine is getting bombed, people are being killed, and they think that that is a complete and total fucking lie, and that the Russians are right. Like, it's just...
There's a psychological explanation for it, Locke, and it's called oppositional defiance disorder. And a lot of people have it, and this feeds it. Like, for people that might be on the edge, it feeds
James
it.
James is next. Go ahead, James. I completely agree
No,
with you.
I didn't
call
want
it
that.
something
That was
else.
me saying I also have oppositional defiance disorder. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just
sorry.
like,
I thought you did. Sorry,
No.
Linz,
Go
continue,
ahead, Ryan.
continue.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No.
yeah.
It's fine. It's expected. So, from two people that claim
Man,
to
we're
have it.
just a bunch of bitches, aren't we?
This is what I mean, though. Like they cannot look at information from an authority figure, somebody that is threatening to them because they're smarter than them.
Yeah.
They will not admit that they're smarter than them. I'm now smarter than you because I said so, and my dad is very smart. And now I'm going to oppose everything you say. Up is down, left is right, green sky, blue grass, and Russia's good, Ukraine bad. That's and COVID's a hoax because science says it's not.
Yeah, like it was impossible in that 1 hour time period of that interview for her to agree more with like more damning shit than anybody I've ever seen in my life. Like everything that you said where you asked her a question about how do you feel about this, she took the wrong side of everything, which is I think the sign of an idiot. Like it's a sign of someone who's cognitively delayed, someone that doesn't have answers, someone who doesn't read, someone who doesn't listen to podcasts, someone who's not into fucking mental wellness. Yeah. And for anybody on this planet to say my dad is never wrong, that is the dumbest shit I have fucking ever heard in my life. You have to be mentally disturbed to really, truly believe that anybody in your family is never wrong. Because being wrong is a fucking rite of passage. It's how we learn. If he's never been wrong, my God. I've watched him be wrong and emotionally disturbed for 2 solid years, like, and everybody else has. So that in itself is like the sign of someone who is so troubled, so mentally chaotic. And it's all of them. It's all the fucking same person. And I don't even feel sorry for her. Like there was a point in that interview where I'm like, my God, she's killing herself. This is awesome. I kind of feel sorry for her. And then I had to shake my head and go, no. She's doing this on her own. This is incredible, right?
Yeah, you can't feel sorry for them. I wonder if there's steps that, like I've been thinking about this. What's my part in it? Is there steps I can take? Is there?
I think to mock is your
12 of them. I think you could probably take, Lachlan.
Yeah.
I have avoided fighting with people about this shit. Like I've really tried. I used to jump into the pool all the time. Now I watch you guys spend your whole evenings fighting on Twitter with somebody over stuff like this.
I don't do it. I just say
see
shit.
You guys do it all the time.
No. It's a difference. I don't respond to people. I just put stuff out and then I go make a sandwich. That's very different.
Okay.
Well,
right.
can I'll share something, Lachlan, that falls into what you're saying. The other day after, was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before? I got a phone call, and it was Chelsea Hilliar. It was the day after the interview, and she wanted to let me know all the things that she didn't appreciate about the interview, the love thing. Which, by the way, whenever a conservative accuses someone, especially someone who didn't do it, of misogyny, I don't know what they're doing, but I think that what they're trying to do is sort of like copycat the liberal pearl clutching that we often see and use it to their advantage or
they're
try.
Doing that
and
too,
it never comes out right. Like, it doesn't
land well.
I called her love, right? And I'm explaining to her on the phone. I'm like, listen, like I'm it's a throwaway line for me. It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean they're there, little kid, or you're such a stupid girl. It's just nothing. And because I teased her after she called me out on the show, and I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetie. Listen, Toots, I just didn't want to offend you. Like,
Toots was good,
dear.
Yeah, and
sugar
so
tits.
that, and she didn't like that I was referring to her dad as a drunk. And listen, I get why she wouldn't want me to say truthful things about her dad's clear drinking problem, but at least I can understand that. But then it was like she was mad at me for the shit that she was dealing with on Twitter. Like she literally called me in the middle of a Twitter thread. It was like, maybe we should talk about this over the phone. I'm like, talk about what? She's like, what's going on Twitter right now? I'm like, do people do this? They just they give up commenting, and instead of going to make a sandwich like Dean would do, they call the person up and try to have it out.
Just mentally disturbed people.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I don't think that she's a horrible person. I don't think that she's informed, and I think she just really likes to argue. But it's one of those relationships that I'm gonna keep you know, like I'm going to try to keep as strong as possible so that if she makes the news again, I can have her back and we can talk it out. But you know, the Russia stuff the Russia stuff is so fucked up because when Obama was in office, every right winger hated Russia because Obama was negotiating the proliferation treaty with nuclear weapons when even before when he was a senator, he was doing that. But then when he became president, it was the go-to item for Republicans for years about how Obama really likes Russia, yada yada. He gets out of office, Trump goes in, and it's like all of a sudden they just abandon their principles again. But on something like Russia, they had spent a century, this party, hating Russia. They were commies. The Cold War ends. They're oligarchs. They're corrupt. This, that, and the other thing. And now it's like maybe we were wrong about Russia for the last 100 years.
P-tapes.
You know, it's one of the
the P-tapes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just the P-tapes. It's the fact that they. Oh, we're gonna get to that too, real quick. It's the fact that they in Russia, like Putin, legitimately brought in the Orthodox Christian Church as their national religion. And if there's one thing evangelical America loves, it's evangelical Christian Russia, right? So that's literally the common thread, and that's what you heard. And I heard Chelsea talk about it in your interview, where you guys started talking about born again Christianity and how she said it's great being a Christian, and then you're like, you know what? I don't even want to talk about this shit. Let's talk about something else because she's that dumb. She would have fucked that up too.
Her mom's an atheist. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was shocked.
I don't believe that either. I don't believe anything any of those people say.
She's like, my mom and dad are opposites. I'm like, so she's an atheist who doesn't drink at all?
No. She's an atheist who doesn't drink and doesn't have emotional issues. Is that what you're talking about? She's that different. But back to the Madison Cawthorn thing. Have you guys seen the tape?
Oh God.
I couldn't understand what the wheelchair was all about.
Well, he's handicapped.
Yeah, he's
a Madison
Cawthorn.
Oh,
he's paralyzed from the waist down.
He's
that's what it's.
I did. Sorry, I thought he was raping a paralyzed kid. I really did.
No, he has. He has a very strong upper body, apparently.
Well,
he was
this
thrusting those hips pretty good for a crippled guy.
He was
We're not
really going for it. Oh yeah, I got to show it, dude. I have to show it to you because
there's no
you're
nudity.
Fucking,
Just
there's
side
no,
bump.
there's just see an ass. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
little
what
fuzzy
appears to
bum.
be a tail. It looks like Madison Cawthorn legitimately. So this is a GOP congressman,
hold on,
28-year-old born again Christian.
Look at the guy that was
fucking
just
loser.
fondling balls. Look at him. He's all scared of this video.
Because I know
we
what
were
this
fondling
is.
balls for the last 25 minutes.
And
Well, it
you
doesn't
just
make it
made
any
the
less
most
disturbing.
offensive comment.
Yes, he did.
Who did?
I wasn't
You
going to
did.
say anything.
You did. Who James did?
Yeah.
What did he
what'd I
say that
say?
was super?
No,
offensive?
we're not saying it again. Let's just play the
No.
tape. Speaking of
Let's
offensive,
just move
let's put
on.
this
James always does this. How
No,
can
now
we-
I wanna know.
Thrusting his hips
How
pretty
can
good
we
for a
make
cripple. Oh,
something
cripple bad?
more offensive?
I didn't know cripple was bad.
How can we we're gonna play the most offensive thing we've played in a month? Let's make it more offensive. Oh, we'll involve James.
Sorry.
What's he doing?
I apologize profusely. I
brought
didn't
him
know
here
saying
for
the
the
word
spice.
cripple was bad. I thought it was a condition.
Yeah,
I
that's okay.
apologize.
That's all right.
Sorry, love.
Yeah, I got ruled against
okay,
with the
sweetie.
CRTC years ago because I used that word a lot, actually. So,
know.
but the
They have to
CRTC
give us
doesn't
the
control
list.
us yet.
Where's the
They don't
fucking
control
list?
us yet, and so we can say
Yet.
whatever we want. And by the way,
Yet.
that's all on you. By the way, so we're good with it. Like you guys can relax.
Good thing I don't
Anyway,
give a
this is Madison Cawthorn, a GOP congressman who doesn't believe in gay marriage, believes in abortion, and thinks that trans people are like nature's accidents. This is him literally humping his biological cousin.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life.
He's getting right in there. There he goes. Getting right in there.
Goes better with Mentos fresh and full of
The song makes
Whoever
it.
put
I'm
the
sorry.
Mentos soundtrack to the dry humping of Madison Cawthorn's cousin was a fucking genius.
Who was taping that?
I don't know, someone in
That's
the
a
bed
great
next to him.
question.
But he's addressed it. Madison Cawthorn has said, hey, listen, that is my cousin. That was locker room fun.
That was just fun.
Oh, the locker room.
Who hasn't face
I
fucked
have
their
been in
cousin
a lot of
for
locker
fun
rooms
and laughs?
I have never had that kind of fun.
Well, your show is called The Locker Room. Does this happen in the locker room? Locker?
Oh, shit. That's going to start trending. My show name's going to start trending.
Look at that. There he goes.
What is he?
Madison
playing
Cawthorn. This is
Yep,
a
this.
sitting GOP
Did I
congressman
mention I had a heart out?
dry
Part of the
humping
seditious
his
six.
cousin in a bed
Yeah.
Where's the cousin?
underneath
there.
her.
Oh, there.
See,
There
there's
he
his
is.
head. There's his head.
What is
Just
he
came up
humping? His
for air.
hip? Is there a hole in his side?
We're
What
not
is he
too
humping?
sure. We're not.
Be a
We're
bag.
not but I can tell you this: is it appears that Madison Cawthorn also has a tail, which I looked up, and humans
That's
do have
just
tails.
that's really bad. Maintenance.
He's anti-trans, but he
Yeah,
has
I was
a
going to
hair.
say, I think he needs a wax.
maintenance.
He needs a wax.
Again, James, we don't need to make this any more
he
offensive.
said he's anti-trans, but he has a tail. That's all he said.
You clearly didn't hear what he
He's
said.
a furry.
Oh, he's a furry.
anti-trans, but he has a tail.
No, he didn't
didn't
say
say
anything
furry.
rude. I think you might have misheard at that time. You're
Okay,
just
all right.
you're just expecting.
I
You're
am.
just expecting the hate. You know what I want to wrap up with? Two things. I want to wrap up with
Oh, that's
Chappelle.
we're not done.
I know. Do you want to wrap up with Amber Heard or Dave Chappelle and the guy who attacked him?
Let's do both because we need to talk
Yeah.
about Amber Heard because I saw the testimony just before I came on air that was live, and I don't know if you guys know about the bottle.
No, what happened? What was the deal with the bottle?
Amber Heard claims that Johnny Depp raped her with a vodka bottle on a ping
Yeah.
pong table.
This is
Really?
Yeah, and
She just outed that in court.
That's
did,
been
just
out.
before.
That came out in the
I
last
think
testimony.
yeah, the info sort of came out, but this is her talking about it. Listen, I think that we need, if we're going to talk about this, I think we need to really come to grips with the fact that this is a touchstone moment. This is like one of those moments in the Me Too culture that we need to take a long, hard look at because this woman is red-handed, caught being abusive, and we sort of like, and then now whatever testimony that she comes out today, you're going to see Vice and CTV and all these big media outlets like put in bold cap letters whatever her testimony was and how awful Johnny Depp is, but the only actual evidence goes the other way. And I think that this is one of those, like, it's a watershed moment in Me Too because there needs to be people that go like this, you know? Obviously, men statistically are worse than women when it comes to abusing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is clearly a case of a woman abusing a man, and we need to take it just as seriously and stand up for victims instead of just women. We need to stand up for victims. They're going to be mostly women anyways, so it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'd like to point something out about her. Elon Musk, when she was with Elon Musk, you'll remember he developed SpaceX while they were together so he can get off the fucking planet to get away from her.
Excellent
We
point.
built a fucking rocket to get away from Amber Heard.
This is Amber Heard, who, by the way, I watched a couple clips, put on a masterful performance. Like this is her taking the stand, and I want you to watch some of the. And
I'm gonna
listen,
miss her
I
in
take.
Aquaman.
Yeah, she was in it for like 7 minutes, down from 12. They're like, cut like 5 more minutes of her out because she
just kill
took
her
a
in the
shit.
first scene.
She took a shit on Johnny Depp's bed. We can't have her in this movie. Anyway, this is her crying on the stand. This is yesterday.
I stopped laughing, but I didn't know what else to do. You know, I didn't know what to do. You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that. I'm an adult, and I'm sitting next to the man I love, and he slapped me for no reason, it seemed like, and I missed the point. It was that stupid. Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything, I didn't react, I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, what are you doing? You're crazy. I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard. I lose my balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch. And I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing has just happened to me that could possibly happen to you. I realized that I wish so much he had said he was joking.
So
fuck you.
So what? I stopped it early. So here's the thing: is that she can say whatever she wants, right? She can say that. There's no receipts. Johnny came with like 1,000 receipts. He came with burn marks on his face. He came with the pictures of his finger cut off. He came with accounts of friends saying, yeah, it was Amber that cut the finger off. It was Amber that hit. It was Amber that was the aggressor. It was Amber that was this person. Everything that this woman has said so far, there isn't one receipt for it. So, like, this, when you get into the conversation about, oh, we got to protect all women, we do. We absolutely do. That is not this conversation. This is about this person versus that person. And this person, Johnny Depp, has a million receipts about being an abused individual in a relationship. This person, Amber Heard, has none other than tears and masterful performances like this when she talks about the blackness.
Feel there was like it felt like there was a blackness in his eyes. I wanted to look at him. I wanted him to see me. It didn't even feel like him. And as I'm walking away, slowly trying not to be, I was being very deliberate about my movements. Wasn't saying anything. I wasn't engaging. I am walking away from him slowly, and he tells me to hurry the fuck up. Hurry up. And I just look at him one more time, wanting to penetrate the monster to see the man that I love underneath that.
You know what I think we're seeing?
I can't believe you guys like this stuff.
This is like the white person version of a rap battle. They're like having an Oscar off, I think, and she's really laying it on.
Don't insult battle rap like
career
that.
off. Like whoever wins this fucking trial gets to get their career back, right?
Yeah,
and she's losing like top over bottom, and it's not even fucking close to the point where they did a mashup of Amber and Johnny. Dude, yeah, oh yeah, dude, she's losing big time. And
no
listen,
one's
do
winning.
I care who wins?
Everyone's losing. We're losing.
No,
Johnny
we're,
Depp
no,
losing.
we're winning. You don't
Everyone's
like this
losing.
content at all, do you? Well, hang on one second, because this is where it takes a turn. No, hang on. This is where it takes a turn. Watch this video of a collection. It's like a minute and a half long. A collection of like things that she says, and then Johnny and the lawyer is actually laughing as she does. This is like a fucking great mashup. You'll love it.
He was trying to urinate in the floor here, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his penis out of his pants, didn't he?
I think I would remember
Relevance.
Mr. Depp's penis.
Next question.
And you were trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house, correct?
Correct, I was trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house, yes.
And Mr.
I think Jack Sparrow was more drunk than Johnny Depp, to be honest.
So that's marijuana.
Did I read that right?
Yes, but that
was
you
my
need to
question.
find the
Just if
term.
I read that right, sir. Now, part of the services that you provide, that your firm provides to Mr.
She's giving you gifts over $8,500, correct?
$8,500?
Yeah.
You gave me a lot more than that.
Okay. And you're loyal to Mr. Depp, right? You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he'd sustained an injury on one of his...
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Okay, you said he sustained an injury to his finger.
Yes.
But you don't know what caused the injury to his finger.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to spend time with your friends at a music festival after being abused by your husband, right?
What abuse?
I was like, you think someone's trying to get into your unit? There's scratches like 4 inches above the floor and your door. That was the dog trying to get into the unit. And they were so afraid. Oh, someone's trying to get into my unit. They're like, oh, come on, really? We don't have cameras in the videos. Sorry, we don't have cameras at the hallway. We don't have cameras on the hallway.
I'm gonna. So the incident was May 21st.
See?
Judge Shito.
No winners. No winners. No one's winning. This isn't a watershed case.
We're winning.
This is not. No,
it's
there's
just
no winning.
entertaining.
There's
yeah,
no
there is.
winning.
We're winning because we get to watch it.
content.
Yeah, dude, it is incredible. You don't like it.
Not only is it good content, but it is that water. This is the watershed case.
Yeah,
Because do you remember when the Gomeshi stuff was happening and the women that were all put on the stand, all of them committed perjury, although they were never charged, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to defend Gomeshi. I'm just talking about the court case.
Yeah.
But the court case was that every single one of these women were caught in lies. And some of the lies were so elaborate. Like, I remember his Volkswagen because it reminded me of the Disney car. He didn't buy that car until 3 years after you never saw him again. But okay, sure. Right. And there were all these things like that. And I remember talking to like certain female journalists that I won't name and asking them, you know, like, don't you find that a little alarming? They're like, well, trauma often, victims often misremember things when they're traumatized. And that's how, and I always ask them the same question and they always stop the conversation. I'm like, okay, fair enough. That's what a person who is traumatized comes off like. That's what they look like. Can you tell me what a woman who lies, how they come off? They just end the conversation.
Yeah,
no
but
one's ever even thought of that.
Dude, here's the thing. You love this shit because it's your chance to stand up for men, right?
No,
Like
no. It's my chance to stand up for victims of abuse without having to feel like there's no such thing as male victims of abuse. It's not standing up for men. I'm not a men's rights activist or anything like that. But like, there is something about there is something satisfying about seeing something like so clearly wrong. In the way that Johnny Depp was like railroaded for 6 years or whatever, and then now it's like, oh, turns out he was.
Listen, I get that, I understand that, but the thing is, these guys are idiots. It doesn't matter. Take the gender out of it. He's a moron for staying with her. She could. I don't even care if she's abusive. The fact that she stuck around is stupid. We're watching the dismantling of a relationship. And you want to pick sides. That's the thing that I find disgusting about the whole thing. And I think it's.
I picked the side of a victim, and I feel the same way if Amber was the person who had shit in her bed. And
no, you wouldn't.
He sliced off her finger.
Because you wouldn't. There are 1,000 stories like that you could be gravitating towards. Based on what you're going through in your life right now, I think has a lot to do with the reason why you're gravitating towards the story and going so hard on it. And that's why I'm so disgusted by the content of it, is because we're trying to. It seems like we're trying to put a pedestal on this, to put this case up on a pedestal to represent the abuse of all men. And this guy's a moron. He's a complete fucking idiot. This whole thing is a joke. You just played a 1 minute clip of 30 episodes of them all just laughing in court. It's a
but that's how I look at it. Like, I
joke.
don't. To me, it's a fucking massive joke. Like I don't. And listen, I respect and appreciate everybody's opinion with how they get to and arrive at, you know, what this or anything will mean to them as we're consuming it in media, right? Like everybody goes a different direction with what it is. You're disgusted by it. James feels like he wants to represent all victims, and in this case, these are male victims. However he gets there and whatever he attaches to the reason he gets to that point is totally different. I tried to ascertain why, and we're talking about it. But to Linz and I think you and I are on the same page. Like, you got two of the fucking most famous people in the world talking about taking a piss in the foyer of their building, taking a dump on each other's beds because they're angry, legitimately acting like children, and it's all being aired in public. And I fucking love it. Of course you can.
Okay, and again, I understand where you guys can draw the entertainment value from it. There is so much inequity in the world that we live in. Why are we doing anything on this story to highlight this inequity?
Because it talks about the fucking hypocrisy of the world.
What's the inequity, though, Locke?
Yeah, I think you're thinking too much.
No. I'm saying there is inequity in this. There clearly is. She's lying, and she might get away with being abusive. That's so fucking clear to everybody that watches this, that this woman's awful, right? He's an idiot, but she's awful, right? And unfortunately, we're devoting all this time and energy to this case. It's being broadcast on fucking TV.
Good.
That's embarrassing.
I love it.
It's not.
We should all be embarrassed by that.
No, I don't think
with
we should.
What happens in the world?
I disagree with that.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
No, and the reason why I disagree with it is because this doesn't have to compete with the other shit that we advocate. It doesn't have to compete with the other content that we do.
No,
This is just a fun
you're
thing
right.
where like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are literally fighting for their careers, but they're fighting each other, and the details of that fight are fucking hysterical. Where she's blaming the dog for the shit she took on her husband's bed. Like, I mean, and there's receipts of this shit. Like, these are
Shit
not
weighed
stories.
more than the dog did.
Yeah, these are people that are holding back the curtain going, all right, let's air it because we're going for broke with our individual reputations and our entire ability to earn money down the road. And if there's one thing this world likes, it's watching people filled with entitlement that have fucked up their lives actually crash and burn. You might not like it. I think there's also a narrative here that James is getting at, which is like, hey, I think he goes too hard for me, but I respect it. And I respect your opinion like I respect his, is that, for him, he's looking at this like, I hope, and this is my impression, James, I hope everybody sees that this isn't always just about women, that men are abused in relationships too. Maybe there's a personal connection, but that's not for me or anybody else to decide. But I think we should be able to have the fucking conversation about Amber Heard taking a dump on Johnny Depp's bed and how fucking cuckoo bananas the courtroom was. Like, he had his driver offering testimony while vaping, while driving people around in a courtroom the other day. That's awesome to me.
Just an accent of goodness, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But I want to address one thing that you said, Lachlan. I have been talking about, since the Me Too movement started, before I was in any type of situation like I am in today. Since it started, I was a person who was like, we're getting I wasn't the type of person that said the Me Too movement's out of hand, but there was an aspect of it that was like, if a man was falsely accused at the time, like a Steve Paikin or something like that, there was no like apology tour for the media who went like, we just want to let everyone know that we regret throwing Steve Paikin under a bus when he didn't do anything wrong. Clearly, like there was a bunch of us that were eventually called alt-right or men's rights activists or whatever, who were watching the Me Too movement and thinking two things simultaneously. One, this movement needed to happen. Men needed to be put in check, especially in entertainment industries.
Yes.
And we were so happy that it happened. But there was another part of us that were like, this blanket statement culture that we're embarked on right now, believe all women. Men don't get abused, or if men get falsely accused and they get found out, it doesn't matter. That's collateral damage for the greater good of the movement. It was such bullshit at the time. When I tell people that Gian Gomeshi rightfully was acquitted, they get mad at me. And I'm like, did you look at the case, or are you just operating on emotion? Because if you looked at the case, that was the right call. That doesn't mean that like anything else that he did in his private life is something that I would co-sign, but it does mean I have no fucking idea what he did in his private life. I don't know the names of any of the women, yada, yada, yada. So I was already a person that was critical about the ancillary negative stuff about this movement when it was happening. So if you fast forward to today, this is the very first time a mainstream news item is focusing on something where it clearly establishes a male abuse victim and a female abuser. That has never happened. And so we can get sidetracked by all of the like interesting anecdotes and all of the silly, crazy shit that happened to their relationship. But since it happened, he's lost tens of millions of dollars because he was apparently the abusive one. His career kind of went totally off track. I disagree with you, Dean. I don't think she's that famous. She's mostly famous for being married to Johnny Depp, but be that as it may, I think that watching this spectacle is more than just all of these weird details. It's the fact that we are watching an antithetical story that goes completely the opposite of the Me Too narrative that we're all conditioned to listen to. And I think that is hugely important.
I think what you're looking for, though, James, is already happening. Like the court of public opinion the majority is siding with Johnny Depp in this.
That's right. I think that's great, though.
Yeah, of course. And I think instead of trying to shove it down like a told you so fashion, it would be more of a good for you guys. I'm glad people are finally opening their eyes and seeing that this does work. This is a two-way road sometimes.
Or
the majority, yes.
Past
statistically,
7,000 years we've been on the wrong side of this, and maybe a couple are going to slip through the cracks.
Yeah,
See, that's the kind of argument that I'm like,
lost.
That's
He's
the kind of
raised
argument that I'm
all
always
his
sort of
money
like,
and he's not going to get to do another fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh shit! That
you know
poor
how many?
fucker.
Let's use the same arguments that the Me Too activists would use.
I'm with
Actually,
you on
what's
that,
good?
too.
What's
No,
happening?
let's
What's
not.
happening is that people are going to see that Johnny Depp was actually considered an abuse victim, and maybe more men will be able to have the wherewithal to come forward. That is the exact same argument that people made during Me Too when they were saying that women should now have the courage to come forward because of all the things that they're witnessing. And it's the exact same
That I'll
thing.
agree
I don't
with,
care about the macro. Like for thousands of years, men ruled women. It has nothing to do with the fact that Amber Heard shat on Johnny Depp's bed. It really
That's
has
great, though.
no
But come on, that
bearing.
is the great.
It was a
part of
great
it.
shit too. Like listen,
She's a
That
serial
was not
killer.
a dog.
No,
that was a
wasn't dog either.
vegan
Yeah.
having an awful shit
Wine
on-
shit.
Yeah.
That was like a
wine
too
and
much wine
hummus.
shit. That was very
Pinot
dark.
Noir.
It's a lot of wine, a lot of hummus. I believe I saw legumes in the substance as well.
Baba Ganoush.
But listen, if we're gonna take a little Schadenfreude out of this, we gotta, because Locke wasn't here yesterday, we gotta finish with the Schadenfreude of the dude who attacked Dave Chappelle and got his ass whooped backstage. I don't know. Have you seen the video of this guy's arm?
You have to watch. You have to see it. Even if we don't show it today, you
I
have
got
to
it.
go look
I
up
got it
the-
right now.
The
I got it
video,
right now.
or the picture of this guy.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
we
got the video.
We played it yesterday, and we'll
He
play
looks
it
like
again
Matt
now.
Skills.
I got video. This is the dude after he got beat down by Dave Chappelle's crew. Watch this. Look at his arm.
Bad spot. Hit it again. a bit.
Guys, does this look broken? Does that look broken?
Pretty good.
He's trying to hail a cab behind him.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you can't hail a cab with an arm that's bent that way. Look at that lock going the wrong way at the fucking elbow.
Look at his face too. If you'd seen the shots of his face, there's a picture of him in the hospital bed.
He's handcuffed.
They
to the
Straight
gurney.
up.
stomped him.
He's handcuffed to the gurney.
His arm's broken.
Have you not seen people? There's people that have these weird arms, seriously, where they can kind of go like this, and it looks like they're double jointed or something. I know a few guys that are like that, and they look exactly like that.
In one of the reports, it said they broke his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
Broke his face too.
The shade of Freud is plain to see. I totally get that.
Oh, I got a picture.
The guy got really fucking beat down by a posse of fucking gangsters.
He was carrying a imitation gun and a real knife.
Don't jump
the imitation gun was the knife.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
an
pulled the trigger,
imitation
the blade
gun that-
came out.
It was a
Yeah.
knife that was put in the end of
Right.
like an imitation plastic gun. And this is the picture of his name is Isaiah Lee. He's a 23-year-old dude, absolutely off his shit. And he attacked Dave with a knife and a gun. Dave went down, and as soon as he went down, his crew came and beat the shit out of him. This is him on the gurney. Look at this
on the
picture.
stage.
Oopsie doopsie.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a backwards arm.
On the stage. The thing I was saying this morning.
Oopsie doopsie.
The funny
Look
thing
at him in
about
the
this
picture on
was
the
that
right. His arm's not broken.
people are
Picture on the
going
right.
to blame
maybe.
Will Smith for this guy jumping up on stage. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but then Dave Chappelle stopped anybody from ever doing that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, you know what?
So Will Smith can thank Dave Chappelle.
Chris Rock
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Chris Rock,
Yeah.
dude, he was there. He's like, was that Will Smith as soon as it happened? He's like,
I
on
saw a
stage.
video this morning, somebody that was fairly close up the front row, and they all sort of chased this guy into the back after he jumped on Chappelle, the two fell, and they just came at him right away. He got up and he ran backstage, and he was just behind the curtain, and there was like 25 people there, all just beating the shit out of him. Dave walked into the crowd and went, "Hey, let me get a shot in."
Yeah.
Boom, stomped him a couple times, came back and continued with the show. And while he was still on stage, Busta Rhymes and Jamie Foxx and a bunch of his buddies were still kicking the shit out of this guy.
I
Like,
love
that's
hearing that
the
Busta Rhymes
biggest
was
mistake I've ever heard anybody ever making.
there. What a cool story for this
I've
guy
seen
later in
Busta
life,
Rhymes
though.
in a fight, by the way.
Why does that not surprise me?
When I was in
have to
Miami,
go,
Busta
guys.
Rhymes in a
I
fight.
have to go.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Exit
When I
stage
just want to say really
left here,
quick.
but-
You got to go. See you, Lou.
See you,
Good to
Lachlan.
see you, Lock. Thanks,
See you,
buddy.
pal.
Lachlan
See you,
Cross, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter is where you can find him. What were you going to say, James? Sorry.
When I was in Miami, I was there was a guy on the street. I was on the balcony of this club that I was throwing events at, and this guy on the street was arguing with his girlfriend, and he backhanded this girl, and I was standing there with Lennox Lewis, and Lennox Lewis, and because I was like, I walked out to him. I just wanted to trip him out a little bit, so I walked out to him, and I'm like, hey man, how's Kitchener? Because that's where he used to train. He was like, what the fuck? How did you know about Kitchener, right? And I was like, and then we started talking. Busta Rhymes comes out, shoulders Lennox Lewis, who had his back turned, and then keeps on walking down the stairs and just did a beeline to the guy that hit the girl and just fed him 3 punches that Lennox Lewis and I looked at each other. And Lennox Lewis was like, damn. I'm like, do you know who that is? He's like, no. I'm like, that's Busta. He's like, get the fuck out of here. That's Busta Rhymes. I'm like, yeah. And then he beat the shit out of this guy, and then a car pulls up and Busta just walks in the car and the car drives away.
Like it's no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was no big thing. But he did the right thing. He's a legit homophobe. But like in interviews, in interviews, he's like, I don't want none of that faggot shit coming around me. Like this is what he says, right? Like, pardon my contextual quote that I was trying to communicate there. But like, yeah. But anyways, he beat the shit out of a woman beater live in real time in front of me and Lance Lewis. So it was good.
Yeah, well, there you go. Sometimes street justice is necessary. A lot of people get upset with the fact that I don't mind a good old fashioned Donnybrook. Like I think what got sorted out on stage actually is representative of what probably should happen if we would like crazies to stop pretending that the only thing that can stop them is the police. Well, guess what? You know what stopped that guy? All of fucking Dave
Chappelle's
Chappelle's
of size
friends.
12 Timberlands.
Yeah.
That's what's
So yeah, I'm a huge fan of street justice, and it was fun to watch. I didn't mind it, and I know that he was injured, and a lot of people are going to go, I can't believe you like the pain and the evil. You're just an evil. No. It's not nothing to do with evil. It's got to do with natural consequences in action. I masturbate watching stuff like that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible, because that's the school I come from, where if someone comes up, socks you in the face, you hit them twice as hard back, and traditionally stuff gets figured out in the middle somehow, where someone's like, I'm not going to punch that guy in the face anymore. I'm not going to. But we get legal now, right? We're in this legal world where people are like, if I go do that, I'm going to sue them and I'm going to goat them into it, and that's probably part of it too. This guy was insane. Words that he's fucking written Dave Chappelle a ton of emails and letters over the years because he's like a huge Chappelle fan. It was like one of those crazy, oh my God, I can't get enough of Dave Chappelle, so I got to be the guy that kills him. But that was for real. Like the dude was attacked with a knife and a fake gun. And not only did he help beat the shit out of the guy while he was getting his ass kicked in the back, he went out and kept doing the show as the ass kicking was going on.
He even said, didn't he joke? He's like, yeah. He joked too, didn't he? Didn't he joke? And he's like, I've always wanted to stomp a guy backstage.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he said that Busta Rhymes, he mentioned Busta Rhymes being out there doing the exact same things.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes is a scary individual, guys. Like, I don't know if you've ever met him, Dean.
No.
But he's a pretty scary guy. Do you guys ever wonder, this is totally out of left field, I swear to God I'm not high, what's happening in the multiverse?
I don't
like
believe
with all this shit happening here. Like, is Dave Chappelle grabbing Chris Rock to hit Will Smith in the multiverse? Because we have been going through some crazy shit lately with the Tyson thing and the Will Smith thing and the Chappelle thing.
People are getting sick of shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I can think of, is that people are getting sick of shit. And again, I come from a time where you talk about, touchstone things when it comes to fucking street justice, and I'm always a fan of it. Like I always have been. Is that you do this, and it was actually, it helped get me fired from the Edge like 8-9 years ago, maybe even longer. I don't even remember. Where a guy raped 4 other guys, got sent to prison for it, and I'm like, you've sentenced that man to 5 of the greatest years of his life.
That's a great
because
joke.
I'm a big fan of street justice. Right,
Yeah.
Real big fan. Now, that was taken and somehow squirreled into me being homophobic because the man was gay and he raped like 4 other dudes over the course of a weekend at a steam bath, which wasn't part of the conversation. But going back to the original is that I don't mind a little street justice. As a matter of fact, I happen to think that an eye for an eye biblically isn't a terrible idea in this world. I really don't, especially where that eye belongs to a complete and total piece of shit. Right?
So that one got sealed up pretty good, though, as we saw in that picture.
Oh, my God. Did you see this guy's face? Look at him after. That is not a
Look at
that
those.
is
His
not
arm's
a
not
well
broken,
man. No.
Oy
But
vey.
no, it is here.
Yeah, no, you might be right.
Look at on the right.
Yeah, but
Why would they-
you know what happens is cops pick these guys up and they fall down the stairs and break their arms by mistake sometimes.
Right. Why do people that are in back of cop cars always have big bruises on their left temple?
Well, they fall down the stairs all the time getting into the actual cop car. That's what happens. They always fall down the stairs.
It's a tough go.
Yeah, it is. James D. Fiore, Blackball the podcast. Go and download it. Hit subscribe. His interviews with Chelsea Hilliar are great. You've done some great work, including today's podcast that you did with Brenton, which is about being sober on tour. He's his tour manager, and he talked about it. He's got a great series, which we also host at DeanBlundell.com, the Brenton on Tour podcast. But download it, hit subscribe. Blackball the podcast, at James D. Fiore on Twitter is where you can find him. That is Ryan Lindley as well. At Ryan Lindley on Twitter. You want to say something, Ryan, before we go?
Before we go, I wanted to show you.
Yeah.
I got some things for you.
That's right.
I got some.
Our
things
new
for
merch
you,
just came in.
Quite possibly one of my favorite ones is the What Happened. Speaking of the Edge.
That's right. That's right. We've got a What Happened shirt. We got a Schadenfreude season shirt. We've got
your decade shirt.
We can't talk about that yet, apparently. But we might be selling it soon because they lost 5-3 last night. So who knows? We got the Go Fuck Yourself / Good For You shirt. Yeah, I like that one.
We all got an email from Lachlan.
Hang on.
And at
We're
the
going
end,
through the
he's
merch.
like,
There's the Schadenfreude season shirt, all available at DeanBlundell.com. You can go to the shop and you can check it out.
Can I open one of them? I know these are yours.
Yeah.
But can I open this one just for the?
For sure.
I think this one needs to be open because just to appreciate it.
It's like an unboxing.
It's finally here, and it's finally in the print. It is
the Fuck Hootler shirt. That is a sharp looking jersey. Right?
Isn't that? That's something else, eh?
Yeah,
that's the Blundell logo on the back.
How
Everybody,
crazy is
all
that?
the shirts come with the logo. I know a lot of people are asking about our branded merch, and just so you guys know, if you're not aware, it does come with the channel brand on the back. So, But yeah, these are great. They're fucking awesome shirts.
When Lachlan sent us that email about the merch, at the end he wrote a paragraph, and the paragraph was like, "Just so you know, James, it doesn't mean you have to buy your merch. You know, like a lot of people buy other." So I thought what he was doing was, listen, dude, buy other people's merch because we're gonna buy yours. So I bought a Glory Hole merch shirt. I bought a Sons of Stupidity shirt, and I'm like, and then I felt guilty for getting a blackballed mug. And then he calls me and he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean that you couldn't get any of your own merch." And I'm like, "Well, what the fuck was the paragraph saying then?"
Listen, he's new to this, right? Like he's in charge of the store, and watching him take it and run with it has been fucking hilarious because he's new to like sending emails and like being in business and stuff like that.
Communicating.
So communicating. He's new to the communication game.
He's so frustrated right now.
He is because we're trying to get this money to Alex, and he's having a hard time because he can't remember a certain PIN number that he needs to be able to pump into this little box to be able to get the money to Alex, and he's fucking losing it. But we will, and you can go and support Alex by going to the shop as well, and you can buy our new Fuck Pootler shirt, which Ryan, all the proceeds, all of them go to Alex, and he can legitimately, you sell one shirt, you buy one and the Sheeple Shepherd stuff, you buy one of these shirts, it feeds a Ukrainian family of 4 for like 2-3 weeks. So if you can, we'd love for you to go and buy it and go to the shop and buy anything you want, including the Decade shirt, which I think will be up in a couple of days. It has
Even though all my money is tied up in Glory Hole shirts, I'll still make a donation.
I'll send you some. There you go. So everybody realized you saw a sneak peek of something we're not allowed to talk about. And if Lachlan was on this podcast, we wouldn't hear the fucking end of it right now.
He was already mad in the podcast.
Glory
He
Hole?
was hot. Oh,
Yeah.
He was hot about
Glory Hole?
something.
No. It was one of the ones I previewed there. But,
right, okay.
Somebody in the comments asked for if we're going to do Doug Ford things. Of course, we're doing Doug Ford things. They're in development as we speak. So
are they?
We'll be able to buy. Oh yeah. I've been
exciting.
Rookie and I've been working on something.
I have a bunch of stuff too. I have a dark, like a graphic novel style political cartoonist that I'm working with, and we're gonna take shots at Doug the whole time based on some of the stuff revelations. Dean, you sort of inspired that.
Oh, thanks.
And also, guys, I have Rod Black on tomorrow. Should I joke that Rod Black is like the greatest pornography name ever?
I think he's probably heard it before. But
it is.
Absolutely hit him with it.
To roll off his back.
Yeah, hit him with it. You'll love
His
it.
big
So
or
Rod
stick
Black
there.
on the show.
You know?
Yeah, probably.
Roll right
thanks
off
for-
his rod.
Yeah. Thank you. James at James D. Fiore at Ryan Lindley. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye,
I
buddy.
killed that. I'm sorry.
All right. See you,
Love
fellas. All right. Love you too. We'll see you soon. There you go. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a fun one. All you people in the comments section just getting after it. Fuck, I love you guys. Thank you. Thanks, Howard, Tim, Keeker, Stacy, Ashley, Melissa, Jen, Shelley, Leanne, Candace, Rhiannon, Emil, Jen again, Stony, Sherry, all y'all. Love all y'all. Thank you. And don't forget to hit the shop. Support Alex. We'd love to send him some more money in the month of May. Hopefully we can get to like 10 grand. That would be awesome. And you can buy the Fuck Pootler shirts. We got sticker shirts. We got flags. All that stuff. Fly the Fuck Pootler flag in your really ritzy neighborhood. See how that goes. It'd be so funny. Why am I such a shit disturber? I can't help it. Anyway, we're back tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for being part of the show. We're back, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We've got David Moskrop of the Globe and Washington Post, academic, writer, doctor. We're going to chat with him about Doug Ford and COVID and a few other things. Candy Mountain. We might do the Mount Rushmore of candy. We're all big candy people, so we're going to talk about that. Also, David Fisman, epidemiologist, really carried the mail for smart people during the pandemic here in this province, and he's part of this thing called Not One Seat. We're going to talk about that with David Fisman, and we're going to talk about different ways that you can be community-minded when it comes to still going through this pandemic. We're going to talk about masks. We're going to talk about vaccines. But we're going to have some fun tomorrow with a couple of very bright community leaders, and I'm really excited to have them on. So David Fisman, David Moskrop, tomorrow right here at 3 o'clock. Hopefully you can join us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. You can follow us wherever you get your fine podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. And thanks to our friends at Domination for making this possible. Dominate with your content. Try them for free today by using domination.com. It's AI for people that do podcasting, streaming, gaming, etc. So please check them out. And Ed at Ed's Fine Imports, I was with him this morning getting more underwear, GITCH, branded luxury underwear, Canadian made, boxer briefs. Ed has them. They're called Gitch. Go to edsfineimports.com today, order a pair. He'll send you a free pair when you use this promo code Gitch and then the number 3. That is your promo code. Massive online store, clothing for men and boys. Go to edsfineimports.com today and check them out. And, of course, our friends at Easy Auto Financial, making it easy for you to get into a vehicle. Easy Auto Financial, super good people. These guys are great when it comes to making sure that they deal with your credit rating, and it's not an embarrassing process. Everybody's been through it. Good credit, great. Bad credit, even better. These guys are ninjas, and it's a turnkey car purchasing experience. They do all the work for you. No obligation. Go to easyautofinancial.ca and check them out today. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. David Moskrop, David Fisman will be joining us. We'll see you then, 3 o'clock. Bye.